purpose of this space is to create a very safe environment for people to share a moment of their lives. All the stories presented by the speakers are personal in nature, and some of them can encroach on dark topics as addiction, abuse, self-harm, and you may be triggered by this. And if you are triggered by it, there's a beautiful lounge in the back. You can go there, give yourself a timeout, ground yourself, and then when you're ready, you can come back and join us.
Centrally located in the Richmond Auto Mall since 1984, Richmond Honda features a large selection of Honda certified pre-owned vehicles. Inside the showroom, Honda's newest models are displayed for viewing, and the dealership is staffed 7 days a week for financial consultation. Foodie World presents Philippine Street, featuring a large selection of Filipino foods, from imported non-perishable products to both packaged seafood and locally caught and very much alive. Foodie World is 75,000 square feet of worldly groceries situated in North Richmond. Located 1 block north of St. Paul's Hospital, Downtown Denture Center features complete and partial teeth restoration options. With 35 years experience, Anthony Chung offers mobile services and emergency repair consultation 24 hours a day. Downtown Denture Center, just off Nelson at 970 Burrard in the lobby of the Electra Building.
Matatagpuan sa 104 and 138 na may higit sa 300 sasakyan, brand new and pre-owned, ay pwede niyong pagpipilian. Bago ka pa sa bansa, wala ka pang credit score, walang problema. Marami kaming selection from all makes and models, and all trade-ins are welcome. Higit pang impormasyon sa sirmitsubishi.com.
I am Winston Young. I'm your host for tonight, and thank you for coming to the next episode of My Story Mondays. Thank you for being here. I would like to ask that you take your phones out and put them on airplane mode or turn them off and not put them on silent. The reason being, if you do put it on silent mode or vibrate mode, in your mind, you're just waiting for this thing to vibrate, and you're not present for what's going on in this room. You're not present for yourself, the speakers, or for anyone else in the room. So I just ask that respectfully that you turn your phone off. I would like to open this show by saying when I grew up, the world was a different place. Looking at the crowd, I don't want to say that it was that much different. But as an Asian person growing up in the North Shore, it wasn't very, how am I going to put it, ethnically accepted. I grew up in a space where it was racist. We were picked on, you were pointed out. And as I thought about this story, I realized the only reason kids actually left me alone is because we owned the corner store. I had access. I had access to something that they wanted. So they couldn't really pick on me all that much because all we had to say is screw off and now you can't buy your candy bar. But with that experience growing up, I didn't really understand what was going on in the world. I lived a pretty sheltered life. It was all work in the store. If you're not working in the store, you're doing mathematics, science, physics, chemistry, all to try and get the highest marks possible to get into university. That was my life. So when I was seeing kids that were different, that had disability, that didn't act a certain way, that were different, I didn't understand what the issue was. I didn't understand why that kid got picked on. And maybe it's because that I was an outcast. I don't want to call an outcast, but an outsider that I had understanding. I'm not going to say compassion, because compassion for me came much later in life, but at least I had an understanding of what these kids were going through. And I gravitated to them and tried to befriend them. But moving forward into adulthood, those experiences did definitely warp me. It definitely caused the creation of filters that definitely warped what I thought the world should be. And then I was blessed to be able to host this show and given this mic, because by working with speakers here, I was given a glimpse into worlds that not necessarily didn't exist. I had no access to them. For example, as a straight male, access to the LGBTQ community, just the worlds really didn't cross over. But having speakers from that world allowed me to go have a peek into what that life is like, and then realize that those people are no different than us. They have the same problems, they have the same issues. They feel alone just like we do, or just like I did. So with that, I ask you just to open your minds just a little bit tonight, and then just be present to the people coming on stage, because they all come from all different walks of life. And they're going to share a moment with you and then give you a glimpse into a moment, into a space that we might not have access to otherwise. All right? So I'm going to put on the host hat, and we'll get this show started. Butterflies are gone. So I'm at a point in life that I have everything, but I have nothing. And only recently did I understand why. I bought into coaching in the sense that I run my own business, and I was trying to find someone to help me. So I went to Meetup, found out that all these people that go to meetups are people that wish they had a business and wish they could start a business, but would never start a business because it's all fantasy in their head, not the type of people I was looking for. And then I started getting discouraged, and I finally went to one meetup, and I only went because it said 48 people going. If half of them don't show up, there's 24 people, so at least I'm going to make it worthwhile for my time. And I told myself, you can't leave until you said hi to every person in that room. The last person I said hi to intrigued me. She said that she was a business coach. And then we went out for a drink to just explore what that meant. And from that one drink lasted 2.5 hours. But it started me on a journey which led down a path of me finding out that when I was 6 years old, and I pointed at the sky and I pointed at the Woods building when it was still standing there. So I don't want to date myself, but yeah, we had a store called Woodward's with a W spinning around, and I pointed at the sky, and I said, I'm going to own that building one day, and it's going to be called the Winston Building. And my uncle looked at me, and he laughed. And he looked at me and he says, good luck ever doing that. Okay. I didn't understand what happened at that moment. I do now, but at that moment, I didn't understand the impact of that. So I'm 6. I really, I'm still trying to figure out what's going on in the world. But what I understand now was there was a seed of anger planted inside my soul. And from that point forward, it just festered and grew, and the environment that I was in just kept feeding it. And it grew and it got twisted. And then I got used to it. I got used to having this, I don't know, you can call it a demon, you can call it this hatred inside of me. And everything that I touched, everything that I created, burned to the ground. Literally, I would build beautiful, beautiful things and then silently light it on fire and watch it burn down. And I never understood why. And all was rooted to that. So one day, well, actually it's one day, I can tell you the exact day. June 17th, 2017 was the day. Actually, wrong. June 17th, 2016 was the day, 2 years ago. I went into an experimental workshop. And sitting in that room, I was given a definition. It was a new definition of forgiveness that I've never heard before. And from that one instant, literally in half a heartbeat, in my head, everything just blew apart. It's like the dam just started cracking and it blew apart from all the pressure behind it. I forgave myself. I forgave my father. I forgave my uncle. I forgave my grandfather. I forgave everybody. And then everything started to shift. I remember going home that evening, and I'm in my own little bubble, trying to, like I'm this whole new world all of a sudden. I come home and my mom, who was visiting, said, you have to go to the funeral tomorrow and you have to be there. I'm like, there's a funeral tomorrow? What happened? She goes, your aunt passed away. I know you hate them, but you have to be there. Just do it for the family. But she didn't understand that I just forgave everybody. And I stood there, and again, it's almost like I was a child again, very perplexed as to how this whole interaction is like, how could I be such a person and be pretty much demanded to show up to this? And I explained to her and what happened to me. She still didn't believe it until I went to the funeral, and then I saw something that really opened my eyes. I saw my cousins, and I saw them distraught. I lost my father, so I saw them distraught, and I realized just because I hated my uncle and my aunt for up until that point in time, it didn't mean that they were bad people. It didn't mean that they didn't love their children. It didn't mean that they didn't love their grandchildren. It's just because I had this brutal vision in my head that they were bad people that I had to live that. So we go to, we have the funeral, we have the ceremony. I sit down and have a drink with my uncle. My mom thought I was mad. A couple of days later, I decide to have a barbecue, my annual summer barbecue. My mom's on the phone talking to my uncle, and I said to her, Mom, invite Uncle to my barbecue. She almost dropped the phone. She looked at me like, she goes, you want me to do what? I'm like, invite Uncle. Invite him to come over. She was in shock. She puts down the phone, invites him, puts down the phone, and she goes, why would you do that? She goes, he doesn't have many friends, and I know what it's like to lose a loved one. Why would he have to sit there all alone wondering why the world did this to him when he could be with family? And then at that point, I realized what that moment of forgiveness did for me. And that's my version of it. But there's, as I said, it's a new version of forgiveness. I had one in the back of my mind, the textbook definition, but it didn't work. I was given a new one. My next speaker was given a version of forgiveness as well. And I invite Trevor Assman to the stage to share that.
My name is Jeevan Bath. Suki Bath has been selling quality pre-owned vehicles for 37 years. All of our vehicles come with a certified inspection report, and history reports are available for all vehicles. All of our sales staff is fully licensed. Visit sukibathmotors.com today.
Foodie World has 75,000 square feet of imported and domestic products, with a large selection dedicated to our Filipino kababayans, with an in-house butcher, variety of seafood, and produce from around the globe. Open every day until midnight. Foodie World, 1 block east of number 3 Road off Sea Island Way in Richmond. Open 7 days a week, Richmond Honda showcases a variety of certified previously owned vehicles. Inside are the newest Honda trucks, sedans, SUVs, and crossovers. The parts and service department features a drive-up, drop-off along the side of the building at Richmond Honda, celebrating 33 years inside the Richmond Auto Mall.
So now that you've got to experience the space that I'm creating, and if you got a glimmer of light or a bit of courage that you yourself would like to take this stage, you can apply to speak at www.mystorymondays.com, and there's a little link that says apply to speak. Send it in and we'll get you on stage.
Hello, everybody. Let's see if I can get this. All right. How's everybody doing tonight? My name is Trevor Assman. Yes, that is correct. Assman is my last name. It's more than okay to laugh at it. It's okay. I kept it, so that's kind of my fault. My husband over there, Jesse, he decided not to take my last name. That's okay, too. I was told tonight that, of course, I'm going to be doing my story, and as I was thinking about the different stories in my life, I've had many. Maya Angelou said one day, there is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. And the greatest stories ever told are of those who never give up. Oh, closer, sorry. There we go. There we go. Is that better? Okay, perfect. Sorry. Tonight, I'm going to be letting go of a nasty secret that I've been keeping for over 40 years. The secret... Thank you. The secret I'm going to reveal to you... I'm just going to do this instead. Sorry. The secret I'm going to reveal to you today is very dark, but I promise you it ends in a positive light. I promise you will get through it, and I will get through it, and we'll be okay. Between the ages of 5 and 16, my dad often sexually abused me, physically, emotionally, and mentally abused me as well. My mom and my sister did not know to the extent of what happened to me. If you tell, I will kill you, is what he told me. Because I had seen the levels of rage and anger he showed towards me, I fully believe he could and he would. At the age of 5, I witnessed my dad go into his first complete rageful rant over a zucchini he left on the doorstep. His rage was so great that my mom grabbed me and my sister and took us to the back porch and said, "We are going to Grandma's." We spent a week at Grandma's house playing with toys and stuff like that. And then my mom came to tell us that we were going back. And I remember saying to her, I would rather live in a garbage dump than go back to him. At the same age of 5 to age 8, I remember him sometimes touching me in inappropriate places when he would lay next to me when I fell asleep. I remember having my eyes closed, but I wasn't quite asleep yet. I was so scared to open my eyes, and make him aware I knew something was wrong, fearing what he could possibly do to me if I objected to his advances. My grade 3 teacher saw a huge change in me. She grew concerned, so she contacted the school counselor. I later learned the counselor contacted my parents and had a discussion with them. He told my mom that he believes that what I was experiencing was a mental block, and something was definitely wrong. When I was interviewed with him, I remember talking about my rabbits, and then he started talking about other things, and I wouldn't say anything because, again, I remember my dad threatening to kill me. My dad must have gotten scared of being caught because the periodic molestation had stopped, but the terror did not. He became very charming and kind to people. I remember he would give the vegetables he had grown in his garden to the members of our church. All I ever heard was, "Trevor, your dad is so nice. He's so charming and kind." I would cringe inside every time they said that. I did not have the trust and confidence to tell anyone, and the terror continued. My dad would often criticize everything I did at the dinner table. "Trevor, chew your food faster. Chew it slower. Eat faster. Eat slower. Don't take a sip of water. Take a sip of water." He specifically targeted me. My sister would still sit at the table, but he treated her like a princess. And I told her, "I am so glad that you did not get abused by him." But we had two totally different experiences while living under the same roof. Why he treated me this way, it was way beyond me. During the weekdays, my dad would go to work at 7 a.m. and then come home at 7 a.m. and then come home at 3 p.m. My mom would go to work at 9 a.m. and then come home around 5. I would come home from school from 3, which left me 2 hours alone with him. Each day, I would come home to work, and there were some times he would have the drapes closed, and he would also have the doors locked. I would knock on the door repeatedly, and he would not let me in. And it wasn't until my mom came up in the driveway that he would open the drapes and open the door to let me in. I couldn't even go to the bathroom. I would just sit on the swing and just wait and wait. I hated spending time alone with him. I would get such painful tension in my shoulders because I would always be cowering and holding all this stress. Whether my mom was going shopping, going to church, or going anywhere, and I was going to be alone with my dad, I begged her, "Please take me with you." One day she said to me, "Trevor, you're always with me. I think you should stay home. You can't come shopping with me today. Stay home." And I was scared. The stress and anxiety I was feeling, carrying the secret, just about pushed me over the edge at 9. One Saturday morning, I was home alone with my dad. He was outside doing yard work. I was watching my morning cartoons. Out of nowhere, he started to release a really scary rage. He was calling me outside to go mow the lawn. He was calling me every name in the book. He couldn't stop yelling at the top of his lungs. As I was getting ready to go outside, I felt so unsafe. He was out of his mind, and I couldn't handle it anymore. Before I went outside, I grabbed my jackknife, and I hid it in my hand inside my coat pocket. I went outside in the backyard where I saw my dad kneeling by the lawnmower, still calling me every name in the book. I started my descent down the porch. His back was turned to me. And I began to imagine myself stabbing him in the back with my jackknife. I had the knife in my hand, and I was ready to stab him in the back. As I approached him, I looked at the blade and noticed it was too small to do any damage. I feared I wouldn't succeed, I'd go to jail, or be killed. I decided not to do it, even though he was in still a complete rage, directed towards me, and I didn't know when it was going to stop. One night I was sleeping, I woke up with an eerie feeling. I turned my head, and I looked up, and my dad was standing over me, standing in his underwear. I froze in fear. I managed to get the courage to ask him, "Dad, what are you doing?" His response was, "Shut the up and go back to sleep." He then proceeded back to his bedroom. What was he doing? What was he thinking? I was playing football with the neighborhood kids in the backyard. I had to go to the bathroom, so I called for a timeout. My dad invited the other 5 kids into the house to get something to drink. The hallway entrance was locked, so I had to go through my parents' room to get to the bathroom. I was in the middle of going to the bathroom, and my dad walked in. Dad has been diagnosed with bowel cancer.
So now that you've got to experience the space that I'm creating, and if you got a glimmer of light or a bit of courage that you yourself would like to take this stage, you can apply to speak at www.mystorymondays.com, and there's a little link that says apply to speak. Send it in and we'll get you on stage.
Models are on display at Freeway Mazda. New Mazda sedans, crossovers, and SUVs surround the facility, and fully loaded versions occupy the floor of the showroom. At Freeway Mazda, 154th Street and 104 Avenue in Surrey.
Kingsway Sushi is an all-you-can-eat restaurant with a large selection of Japanese and other Asian cuisine. The restaurant is located 5 minutes from Metrotown Centre on the Vancouver side of Boundary and Kingsway.